And how's it going, everyone? It is Skullzi here with the latest and the greatest gaming news. I'm back bringing you content after having a day off. I haven't quite been like 100% since my guinea pig passed away, but the content must continue. I just allowed myself one day to kind of like recollect and kind of like try to get back to feeling normal again, but it's probably going to take a lot longer than that. So either way, let's get back to the content, and today I'm going to be rounding up and like breaking down and covering all the most recent Bethesda related news. I have a few interesting things to talk about in today's video because we got a lot more information about Deathloop, and there is kind of an interesting situation regarding Starfield that popped up recently as well that some people have already like messaged me about and asked my opinion on. And even though this situation isn't inherently anything huge, I will cover it in today's video as well. But either way, let's not waste any more time and let's get to today's information. Now real quick, before I get to the new stuff I haven't talked about on the channel yet, the biggest like piece of Bethesda news that happened like within the last week was obviously the Elder Scrolls 6 tease that Bethesda gave us over on Twitter. I broke this down in a lot of detail in like the last couple of videos here on my channel. I won't do that again in today's video. If you want to get the full breakdown about everything there is to know about this official Elder Scrolls 6 tease from Bethesda, you can watch my previous videos where I break all this down. I'll go ahead and I'll drop links to them down in the description below, but basically the TL doctor is that Bethesda kind of like tweeted out this image and put candles or whatever on the map to kind of signify the Elder Scrolls past, present, and future, and they even kind of tell you in the tweet itself that you can transcribe the Elder Scrolls future from this, and no doubt there is a candle over Hammerfell, so that's an obvious like hint that the Elder Scrolls 6 will take place in Hammerfell as well. And then there's a candle over Solitude, so it might be the Elder Scrolls 6 only Solitude, but no, I'm joking, that's obviously not what that's for. This is probably more like a sign or homage to the Elder Scrolls Online's current content over there in Greymoor, which is set in Skyrim as well. And then we have this candle which is on the book or over the Sea of Ghosts, or it's somewhere. People haven't quite determined what this third candle might mean, but either way, that's basically the TL doctor about this. If you want to know everything there is to know about that, like I said, you can watch my previous videos on the channel where I break this down. But either way, let's move on to the things that I haven't already talked about here on the channel. And the next thing is the Starfield thing. And even though the Starfield thing isn't anything huge or really new, anytime something like this happens, I have to at least give you my thoughts on it and remind people that this doesn't mean anything. And in order to break this down and tell you what I'm talking about, I have to activate my Karoshi implants, which are just glasses. But here's the source of this new Starfield rumor, and it's one of those, hey, you can pre-order Starfield because it's listed on so-and-so random, probably full of crap website, which is this one, Gameware, and I am not quite familiar with Gameware, but it looks like it is a German website, at least judging by like the language here, because it looks German to me. I only know a little bit of German, but it does definitely look German. But as you can see, there are numerous listings for Starfield. There are some for the PS5, the Xbox Series X, and PC, which obviously is what it's going to come out for. And then they're being pretty brave because there is also listings for the PS4 and the Xbox One. And at one point in time, a long time ago in ancient times, Todd Howard did say it is possible that Starfield might be cross-gen, but it wasn't their target. He even said way back then in like 2017, 2018, I guess it was more like 2018 because they didn't actually announce that Starfield existed until 2018. So in 2018, Todd Howard even said their main focus was next-gen. So to me, that's them confirming Starfield won't be cross-gen, and cross-gen games generally have a lot of issues and are lacking in fully utilizing all the new hardware that the next generation of gaming offers us. So I don't think Starfield is going to be cross-gen, so it's pretty brave for them to do this. However, all they need to do is just refund everyone that pre-ordered Starfield for the PS4 and the Xbox One. But the thing is, these pre-orders wouldn't be refunded for months from now, and if people were like accidentally unfortunate enough to pre-order Starfield from this website for the PS4 and the Xbox One, these pre-orders would still boost this website's sales, its sales metrics that it would report like every quarter of the year. And that's why websites like this are super shitty time, and they activate that big time shitty mode, and they allow you to pre-order games like the Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield way before the game is actually even known to have a release date. released, but because even though, like, obviously you're not going to get the game for a while, they still get to report these pre-orders as legit sales or pre-orders or as an income, as profit in their quarterly reports every year. So they benefit a lot from something where you kind of don't get anything at all, basically. And I guess if you do order from these people, you might eventually get a game anyway, but why support websites and companies that kind of prey into the hype to kind of in a somewhat gray area shady way boost their sales metrics? Because that's exactly what happens here, and every other time you see a pre-order for a game like this, and that's basically what I would say about any of these early listings for Starfield or the Elder Scrolls 6 until it gets an official release date and we start seeing listings from like the main ones like GameStop and Best Buy and stuff like that. I wouldn't pay too much attention to pre-orders like this, but sometimes it means something. Like I think that Canada Walmart situation back in I think 2018. So people have been paying attention to listings like this ever since, but ones like this for websites that aren't like main retailers, it doesn't mean anything. It's just the sales metric boosting thing that I was talking about earlier, and that's everything there is to say about this Starfield listing. And don't expect it to come out for the PS4 and the Xbox One, because 99.5% chance it's not going to, at least in my opinion, based on official statements made by Bethesda and Todd Howard and friends. Next up, we have a pretty big interview with Arkane and Vandal, who I believe is a Spanish oriented gaming website. I'm not sure what region the website comes from, but it looks like it was posted in Spanish. Here's Skullzi showing my lack of language knowledge and being able to identify what language stuff is written in multiple times in one video. Oh my god. But either way, this interview is very interesting, and because there's an unknown game being worked on by Arkane in Austin. And no, it's obviously not Deathloop, and he's working on this new game with people who worked on Dishonored and Prey. So no doubt, whatever this game is, it's going to take a lot of inspiration from gameplay elements and probably design and stuff from Dishonored and Prey, and that's super awesome because, in my opinion, Arkane is a very underrated game studio and one of Bethesda Softworks' best studios. But to be honest, what makes Bethesda Softworks so special is every single one of their studios is very amazing. So amazing that even Bethesda Game Studios, who's a legendary studio, they outshadow some of the hype and some of the success and talent from some of these other studios. So I get excited anytime that I get to really talk about Arkane or id Studios or Tango or just any of them, because they're all great studios, and I can't wait to see what this new game is from Arkane. They don't really go into too much detail in this interview into the new game, but if you want to check out this entire interview for yourself, you can easily just translate it using Google Translate, which is what I did here, and you can check it out down in the description below. He talks about a lot of things here. Like I said, he doesn't really mention this new game, but he talks a lot about Stadia, the future of just how we see Stadia type cloud gaming to go, and just like his creative influences, how he worked in quality assurance, and just stuff like that. I highly suggest you watch this interview if you're a fan of Arkane and just curious about anything there is to know about Arkane. Like I said, link is down in the description below, as well as probably on screen here. Actually, no, it's not on screen here, I lied. But the next thing I want to talk about in today's video is yet another Arkane based interview. We get 2-for-1 Arkane news today, so Arkane fans, you're in for a surprise. And this next interview actually gives us a lot of new information about Deathloop, and this interview comes from Games Radar. Link is down in the description below, so go ahead and check out this interview if you're very interested in Deathloop. I highly suggest you read all of this for yourself, but the main stuff in this is it confirms that Deathloop is not only going to be an online-only game. I kind of wonder if it still will require an online connection at all times, because I don't think they covered that in this interview, at least from when I read through it a couple times. But they did say you can turn on or off whether or not you want PvP on, meaning an opposing player can assume the role of Juliana, who is the like opposition to the main player in the game, who's trying to like break this time loop. And they actually go in a lot more detail about all the different ways that you can actually break the time loop and stuff. As you can see, I actually broke the time loop in real life by making it to where I don't need to wear glasses now, but it'll only last until the end of this video, which sucks. But either way, the Deathloop sounds a lot more interesting, at least from my own perspective, just based upon this interview, because it is going to be a first-person shooter in an open-world experience that even has like a day-night cycle, because some events will actually be set to certain like time periods of the day. And don't worry, because it doesn't mean you're actually going to have a clock, like a timer set against you, because as it said in this interview, as a player leaves one district and moves to another district, the time of day will change, and there are 4 distinct times of day, and there's also, I believe, different districts in the city, maybe 4 different districts as well, but every district can have its own like unique stories and events and stuff that you can do and change or interact with in order to break the time loop. And it's very interesting because all these different little elements in the game have their different stories, their different like unique writing, unique dialogue, and there's actual deep lore to this game as well, which they kind of touch on a bit in this interview as well. So like I said, if you want to know more about Deathloop, I highly suggest you read this interview. They even go into like some of the RPG mechanics because you're going to be unlocking new abilities, leveling up and stuff like that as well. So give this interview a read for yourself. Huge shout out to Games Radar for doing a pretty decent job getting a lot more Deathloop information. But that's everything I wanted to talk about in today's video. Sorry if my content isn't 100%. Like I said, I'm still recovering from the loss of my guinea pig El Pigchino. He was a very, very good boy. He will be missed, but that's everything I wanted to talk about in today's video. Let me know what you think about all this down in the comments below. Are you hyped for Deathloop? Let me know down in the comments, and as always, if you enjoy the content, be sure to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn notifications on. And if you want to help grow the channel and the community, be sure to share this video as well, as sharing content is the best way to help grow a channel and the community. And actually, channels mostly only grow if their subscribers share their content, because the YouTube algorithm isn't doing too well right now. In fact, the algorithm doesn't like me for some reason, because a lot of my subscribers, a lot of you guys are saying that you aren't being notified of my new uploads, and people who aren't subscribed aren't being shown my content either. So my channel is growing like pretty slowly, at least a lot slower than usual. So if you could actually help share my content, make sure you're subscribed and get other people to subscribe, it would be greatly appreciated. And speaking of appreciation, huge shout out to these amazing people who go above and beyond to bring you content like this. If you want to get your name added to this list, which will get a permanent shout out in every single one of my videos from this point forward, you can support the channel over on Ko-fi, Patreon, or here on YouTube as an exclusive channel member. Links for all this and more are down in the description below. Be sure to tune in next time when this video is in memory of El Pigchino.
It just works.